I still haven't worked out all the kinks yet, but here's the basic idea for this section. First thing I wanted to do was put a drawer in just for some additional storage. And then I'm going to put a guitar rack here that's just like a typical sort of guitar rack on its side thing. I'll probably just make a bunch of shapes like this. Maybe I'll make it a little more curvy or ornate. And this way I can stack up probably at least 6 or 7 guitars here, but I want to be able to leave them there while I drive. I don't want to have to take them all out and put them in cases. So I'm going to try and rig something up to make them sit while they're here. Maybe I'll do some type of bungee cord set up on each one that will hold them in place, or I'll have like a wedge of foam that I can shove in there. Sometimes I have to problem solve in 3-dimension. Like, I've been thinking about this for a while and I know what I want to do, but I'm not quite sure the best way to make it yet. And oftentimes when I actually start making these things, it turns out to be a lot less complicated than I thought.
Well, because I'm obviously not a real woodworker and a heathen, I use my CNC. So I quickly jumped into my Vectric software and just created this basic shape for holding the necks. And you'll see that the one that's in green is a little bit different, and then there's another piece shape that I cut to go in there too. Now the idea I came up with was to sandwich these pieces together. Oh, check out this. I made this sign for my buddy's all-tape recording studio in Torrington, Connecticut. It's pretty proud of that sign. So the idea is I'm going to use this compression bit to cut these shapes out of a piece of 1/2-inch plywood, and then I designed them to be almost like a sandwich, so the one piece can slide into the middle to hold the necks closed. So then the next step is to figure out how to make it stay and come in and out, and we'll get to that in a minute. It'll all make sense. Check out that nailer I used. I just recently picked that up from Avid CNC, and it shoots plastic nails, so if your CNC router accidentally hits one of them, it doesn't destroy your router bit, which is great. Now, since I cut this all out of the same thickness 1/2-inch plywood, my sandwich would be really tight, so I went to my favorite staple material in the shop, a slice of hollow core door, and cut out that middle shape one more time, just to add an 1/8 inch of thickness. Now you can see what I'm talking about, so it might make a little more sense. Those pieces that I cut that don't have the half circles in them go in the middle, and then the top and bottom match, and now I can take this other piece that's shaped just a little bit differently and slide it in between the top and bottom, and that's going to be my sandwich. Now I'm using my square to just mark out some holes and drill some spots to put bungee cords and dowels to hold it in place. I didn't do this in the CNC file because I wasn't sure how many I needed and where I would want them until I had actually printed it out. So if I were to do this again, I would update the CNC file and make it all fit. I threw a guitar neck in to try it out with just 2 bungee cords. I put spots for 4, and you could see already that the idea was working. I used my square to mark out where to drill some holes for the dowels, and simply put those in with just a dowel that I had laying around. I got this far pretty quickly, and it looked like it was all going to work out well. So I had CNC'd out these little sort of corner braces in the process of making these parts, and I just used some pocket screws and glue and brad nails to put together the rest of that top piece. Now onto the bottom piece, I just quickly sanded all of those shapes that I cut out, and I had to use my table saw to cut some spacers. And I just sort of stacked and assembled this whole piece together. I did some math to make sure it was all going to line up right, and it came out pretty good. I wasn't worried about the front looking janky because I'm going to cover that up with some pallet wood later.
I put just some strips of felt that I glued in here to protect the necks. And I didn't even go all the way to the edge because I wanted to make sure it would still slide in together. And we have our bungee cords to hold them in place, so the necks are secure, but I need to do something for the bodies down here. I want to put foam into this area to protect it, and then I'm probably going to do like a bungee strap or something to just go around the bodies. But first I need to get the right foam. And the first foam that came to mind was Kaizen foam, which is a lot of guys use it to make tool drawers and stuff to French in their tools. It just so happens my buddy Brian from BP Way is a Kaizen foam dealer, and he has a shop right in my hometown, so I'm going to go pick some up.
This is, you know, one of my mock-up areas, and you know, people will send us files and download them and fit the tools and stuff in here.
So you get a lot of interesting tools sent to you too, because you got to make.
Yes, we get. I sign a lot of non-disclosure agreements for different products.
I bet.
And then these are some of the plastic products that we make on here. Pack out accessories. And, I just got to finish that off, and got the 2 other DWCs. You know, they
Get another full 4x8 down here.
This is a 5x12. This is in both of the Avids have the Hurricane box vacuum hold down system. They work really well. 2 full-time here. My son's part-time, and then my wife helps run it.
That's awesome, dude.
So yeah, it's pretty crazy. What
Yeah,
it's turned into.
It is. So I mean, because I know that.
BPWay.com.
Is that still happening?
Oh yeah, that's still happening. Probably going to be doing a rebrand, something like Kaizen Source, because I want to gear my sales towards struggle-stopping products and things that are harder to find. Close BPWay.com and make everything one website. It'll be KaizenSource.com.
Yeah.
And gear it towards lean manufacturing and products like that. Ultimately, in the end, I want a business I could sell without me.
Right.
I don't want me to be the driving force.
I was just gonna clone me and then just when I'm ready to retire.
Right.
But I've got this rack that I want the guitars to be secure in. So it's about a 36-inch by 14-inch footprint, but then it's less than that because I got to cut it to fit in the slots. That I want to put a pad down the bottom, but then I also want to put it on the sides and maybe in the back.
No, you leave a table leg on it and take it off, it's going to leave a mark.
Oh no, I mean, but the table leg.
It won't mark the.
It won't turn the table black. It'll turn.
No, it won't.
Right. Because sometimes, like, there's some of the foam rubber that you get. Even guitar.
Yeah, the more rubbery stuff.
Right, the guitar stands I've even bought. Like, they have like these foam rubber sleeves, almost like, and then you pull your guitar off it in a couple weeks into
it's
black.
It's like the pipe insulation.
Yeah, it's like a black mark on there. It's like, it's ridiculous.
You just need scraps for now, or you need feet?
Well, I mean, I probably could pick you scraps, which would be, I mean, be better for my story anyways, right? But so each compartment is about 4.5 by 14, so I need like 7 of those. And
4.5 by 14?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you have a 5 by 15 scrap,
a pile of these, if that size works.
Yeah, what was the length? 14 by 4.
So that's 14 and 3/16.
Yeah, by
4 and 7/8.
Oh. But yeah, no, that would.
I have a pile of those.
Yeah, that would work for the bottoms, and then I would need something thinner for the sides.
Like 7/8 or 1 1/8.
But yeah, like this would be good for the sides, something thin like that.
Something thin like that.
Yeah. This.
We go through about 9 feet, a 4x8 by 9 feet every week.
Wow.
Of this kind of foam.
Well, if I took 14 of them, that would be enough for 7 bottoms and 7 wedges. If you have that many.
We've got that, man.
It was so cool getting to see Brian and seeing that whole Kaizen inserts operation. Like it inspires people like me who are smaller manufacturers and makers. I kind of look at the setup and the layout, and you always learn something. But what was equally cool about it was that he had all these cutoffs of this 2-inch thick foam from a product that he's making, and it's almost exactly the same size as the hole in the bottom of my guitar stand. So I'm going to cut 1 inch off of them and then figure out the best way to cut a channel in the middle of it to sort of cradle the guitar and start from there. He also gave me some other cutoffs and drops of some thinner stuff that I can use to sort of build up the walls if I need to, and I got enough of these to where I can make wedges out of them as well. Brian's business BP Way also sells a lot of fast cap stuff, like those nice pattern markers, and he has these really slick little skinny razor blades for specifically cutting Kaizen foam that works really well for that. I'm going to try and protect that knife and just use it for things like this so I don't screw it up on cardboard or something. And Brian also warned me that the table saw is probably the worst way to cut this foam. He suggested the bandsaw, but to cut this channel out in the middle, the table saw really seemed like the only logical solution. So you can see I just put a little bit of weight on top of it to keep it from bouncing around on the blade. And then I used that skinny razor blade to sort of reach where I couldn't in the middle, and I had to pull it out a little bit. So it's not a perfectly clean, smooth cut right in the very center, but it doesn't matter. You can see here why the table saw is a little dangerous and not the best tool for cutting something light like Kaizen foam, but I only had a couple cuts to make like that using the fence, and then the rest of it I did on the sled, which was a lot safer. This worked really well, and I was almost done right here. I did cut just a little square to put in the very front of it to protect the front edge from the guitar bumping in there, and then I put some in the back so the sort of horn of the guitar would have something soft to push against.
Now I'm messing around with this wedge idea that I had, and I mean it's doable, but I don't think that's going to work. I think what I'm going to do is use some of the thin stuff to line the inside walls, so in case it does, you know, well, I don't even know if I need to, honestly.
I had to take my truck into the shop for the video that you just saw last week. If you didn't, you can go check it out. So this was about a 25-minute drive from my workshop to my buddy Eric's workshop on time lapse, and just normal traffic, highway, byway, back roads, and you can see they didn't move an inch. The big question with this guitar stand design is not how it does on everyday driving, which is obviously fine, but how it does if I got to jam on the brakes really hard. And I'm a little hesitant to do that unless it's something that's necessary in a big vehicle like this. You know, but I want to at least try it a little bit. So I'm back at my shop, and there's a bit of a hill here. I'm going to come down the hill and jam on the brakes, and I'm going to try to rig up this GoPro so we can see what happens. I have the camera clamped to the seat, which is secure to the car, and we'll jam on the brakes a couple times, see what it looks like. I didn't get going very fast, probably only about 15 to 20 miles an hour, just really quickly, then jammed on the brakes. And I think that's fast enough to get an idea of what's going to happen. These types of forces do grow exponentially with speed, though, not on an even curve. I think I'm going to stick a pin in this and call it done. Originally, I had a couple ideas to further secure these. One was to create sort of like, you know, like when you get on an amusement park ride, there's that metal bar that comes down. I thought about doing something like that, which is basically what this is. And then I thought about making that more like a bungee strap that went around the instruments. And then I even thought about making shorter bungee straps go around the strap holders here and then pull down onto this box and hook onto a hook. And I just don't think any of that is necessary right now. If I had to stop really hard, really fast, would these guitars move? I don't know. I don't think they would that much. I think they would be okay, but if I'm stopping that hard and that fast, I'm not as concerned about the guitars in this rack as I am the passengers in the vehicle and the people on the road around me. And I don't think they're gonna become projectiles. They're not gonna hit anyone in the head. I think they'll be fine. And yeah, so I'm not going to do any more right now. We'll see. Now, for regular driving, it's already proven itself to be more than fine, so that's great. But you know what I would love to hear are your comments and thoughts, because they help me sort of develop this stuff as we go, and sometimes there's some really interesting conversations that happen in the comments down below. So please feel free to tell me what you like or don't like about this idea, and check out the rest of the build video. There's still a lot more to do. There's a lot of stuff in here that isn't bolted down and secured yet, but two of my main concerns, projectile guitars and my passenger, have been taken care of, and you can watch those videos in the series as well as all the other stuff that's been happening. There is still a lot to do, and now it's getting into the kind of fun and cool stuff that I got a lot of the roughing in done. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you around the internet. Be good.
You you've all been asking when we're going to get the payout and when Vance gets to take his first ride in the truck with the new seatbelt. And today's the day where he was just swimming and we're about to go pick up some tires. So see